everybody, and welcome to Virtual TrekCon with Ciroc Lofton, of course.
Hello, hello.
We are joined by Miss Michelle HURD. How are you?
Hi, guys. How's everybody doing?
Awesome.
Doing great. Doing better now that you're here.
Yeah. So Michelle HURD plays Raffi in Star Trek Picard, and Ciroc and I do a show called The Seventh Rule, and we reviewed every episode of Picard. And I'm pretty sure we wore each other out with how many compliments we kept giving about you. Like nonstop, you were absolutely a standout actor on the series, and we were just absolutely had to have you, here to talk to you. So thank you.
That's very kind. Thank you for saying that. That means a lot.
You're an amazing actress. Love your performances. Love you on the show. Strong woman. Tell us about your experience coming on.
It's been an amazing experience, I have to say. And for anyone who, loves Picard, loves Patrick Stewart specifically, he is exactly what you hoped he would be. He could not be kinder, more generous, more encouraging, funny, self-deprecating, a team player. He really just welcomes us and makes us feel like we're all part of the same group, this ensemble. And as far as Raffi, when I read the breakdown for the character, I was so drawn to it. I'll tell you a little backstory. I actually had to have foot surgery. Random. I had to have foot surgery from been a martial artist since I was a teenager, and back in the day when I was doing karate, my dojo was a concrete dojo. It wasn't all the cushy, soft stuff that we have today. They were just like, work, get on the concrete, punch your wood wall. Like my makiwara pads were wooden. So I've broken a bunch of bones in my foot, and I just needed to have a surgery. And I was in New York, and I got this email at like 9:30 p.m. for a self-tape the next day. And I'm lying there getting ready for surgery in the morning, and I literally send off an email. Sorry guys, I'm not gonna be able to do it. I didn't tell my people that I was getting a surgery because in this industry, you just don't want to say anything. It's so silly, but you don't want to say anything because people will be like, oh, she's out of, she can't be submitted for work. So I sent off a quick thing saying I can't do anything tomorrow, and then I thought, be a good actress and read the whole email. So I started to read the whole email. And I read the character breakdown because it doesn't say Star Trek. You know that. It said something like drawing room or something. So I'm reading
that's what it was. Yeah.
Character breakdown and drawing room now, and it was so thick, so full. The fact that she was haunted by regrets, the fact that she has these crutches that she leans on, that she is trying to do her best, but she is not at a place where she can perform at her optimum. And then I read the sides, which were 11 pages, by the way, 11 pages. And they were just so good. It was so good. And I'm like, what is this? And so then I read who the producers were, said Alex Kurtzman, said, probably Akiva, and then said Patrick. And I was like, wait a second, wait, hold a second. I think this is something other than drawing room. This has got to be So I send an email off to my people. I said, you know what, I can't do tomorrow, but if we could, if they can extend the window to Monday, I'll do it over the weekend because I'm still not telling them that I have surgery. And they're like, sure, no problem. So Thursday, I go have the surgery for the foot. I come home, I'm on like Oxy. I'm just like loopy. And I check my emails, which is kind of funny. And I check my emails and they say, sorry, honey, we need it in tomorrow. So now Thursday, I have 11 pages. I've just come back from the hospital, and I just say, you know what? The character is too glorious for me not to try. So I ingest 11 pages of dialogue. Friday, I wean myself off the Oxy, which, by the way, if anybody's had foot surgery, it's like foot surgery is unbelievably painful. So it was like I was in excruciating pain. But I weaned myself off. My husband, who's an actor, set up the little, iPhone. We did 2 takes. I liked the beginning of the first take. I didn't like the end of the second one. I didn't like the beginning of the second one, but I liked the end of the second. And I just literally, because I couldn't get it together, I said, just send those off. I just can't figure it all out. And I'm so thankful and appreciate I did, because I got such great feedback from Michael Chabon, from my producers. They really loved my take on Raffi, and just by watching those 2 takes, they offered me the job. And it has to be one of those moments where it was meant to be, because I feel like of all the characters I've played in my almost 30 years in this industry, and mind you, I've always chosen to have strong women because I'm a woman of color. I really want to be, I want to represent us well. I want to show, as well as being a biracial child, I want to show these like all different kind of mixy people that we are here, that we're valid, that we can contribute, and we can look like this, you know, and be employed. So I've always tried to make sure that the parts I've taken, you know, are ones that are of a learned person, an educated person, a strong person. I always used to joke, it's really weird, I have to say, because this is, you know, our climate right now with police and all that is complicated. Because back in the day, I always used to say, if it's a role, you know, if it's a role that I'm choosing between someone who wears heels or carries a gun, I'll take the gun every time. And now I have to really question how I think about that, right? Because we have sort of allowed some types of entertainment to, I'm being careful right now, to celebrate, or not celebrate, but to make the police officers always the heroes. And we really need to examine how we tell those stories now, you know, both sides of the stories. But all that to say, once I got this one, I didn't realize how much the ingredients that was missing was the vulnerability of human beings, that we have faults, that we're perfectly imperfect, that we can make mistakes, that mistakes can haunt us, and that we try to, you know, to fix those mistakes, and yet we can still have regrets whether we were able to or not. And I loved that. I really loved that, because I wanted to show that we all go through that. We all struggle. We all have these demons that can sit on our shoulders sometimes. And it doesn't mean that we're useless and that we should be written off and forgotten or ignored. It only means that perhaps some people could take the time to slow down and reach out and help our fellow neighbors and our loved ones who are struggling. Addiction, any type of addiction, is a beast, you know, and it's there for a purpose. It's there because we're in pain and we're suffering and we're trying to wake up and, you know, get out of bed. And sometimes you reach for that thing that's not the healthiest, but it gives you some kind of false feeling of strength, and so you can get up and reach, you know, meet the day. So I felt like this was a really important story, and to put that in the world of Star Trek, you know, to put that in a world where, for myself, I don't know about you guys, but for myself, Star Trek has always been a show that was welcomed in my house. My parents are activists. They were activists. My father's passed. But, you know, we grew up at the time where my dad was walking with Dr. King. He set up fundraising cabarets. It was called Matinee for Freedom, with Maya Angelou, my father, and Godfrey Cambridge. And they would come together with other Black actors in New York, and they would sing and do monologues and all stuff to raise money for Dr. King's marches. So I'm an activist child, and my father really wanted to make sure that if we were watching entertainment, it was inclusive. It didn't portray anybody in stereotypical ways, all the races. And one of the shows that when we were kids that we would all gather around, that my father was happy to turn on, was Star Trek, because it's about all of us.
Was it original series reruns, or was it Next Generation?
Well, it was original series reruns. I don't need to date myself, but yeah.
Way reruns.
Way, you know, they were reruns.
Second, third batch.
Third, fourth. I mean, I don't even know.
5, 6, 8.
That's right. Thank you, my brother. But my eldest sister, Denise, there's 3 girls in the family. I'm the baby. It's Denise, Adrian, and Michelle. And Denise has always, with my father, has been a diehard Star Trek fan, OG from the beginning to end. Like, so she was the one who, like, when I started to tell her about the possibility of me doing this job, lost her cookies and was just like, whatever you do, you have to get this job. And when the comic book came out, she actually went to all the different comic book stores in Manhattan and basically like tracked them down and then was like, the next time you get on this issue, call me.
You call me.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I have a question about the scene that you were auditioning for. Is it the scene that we saw you where Picard goes to the trailer in the middle of the desert to talk to you? Is that the scene?
Yeah, it's basically that scene. There was a few other things that were kind of stuck in there. It was kind of like the scene where he comes to me, and then also when I'm at the Rock, when he comes over to me when we're at the Rock, and I finally say, I do know a captain for you. It was basically those two together with some other things sort of in there as well. But it was delicious. I loved it. I mean, there was a whole thing about the bottle, like his vintage. When he brings me that bottle, that she's struggling to, like, while she's talking to him, she's trying to open it. And she's like, "Oh, just open this thing. What is it, titanium?" And I just loved like the kind of the funniness and the seriousness that she would do it, and that she's kind of quirky and that she runs by her own rules. So yeah, it was those two scenes that were the audition ones.
Yeah.
Do you remember if there was a specific word or two in the breakdown that, in the description of the character that where you just said, "Oh my God, that's," or is it all just kind of a haze, or do you remember any specific words that really kind of jumped out at you?
It's a bit of a haze. I think it's kind of strange, but I honestly think it was whatever the words were in the description that basically the fact that it wasn't a perfect character. There was something about the description that I really liked, that she was flawed, that she was flawed, that she was haunted, that she had regrets. I just liked that. But also they said she's incredibly intelligent. She was she's a genius hacker. She's a systems, analyst, genius. And I love that kind of thing, that she was really smart and really capable and high functioning, but that she was flawed and that she had chinks that were visible. I think it was just that kind of combination, because you just don't always get that. It's usually a very, we need you to be, she's strong and really intelligent and that's boring.
Real generic, real basic.
Real generic, exactly.
Yeah. Was addiction part of the description? Like any kind of addiction, or was that anywhere in the description?
They had, actually that's interesting. They had Horgel in the scene, which was my Horgel. And then they had the wine. And when we got into this, when I got the job and I started talking to everybody, I remember saying to Michael, to my producers, that I really wanted to make sure that if we were going to do this, that she has an addiction, I didn't want it to be one or the other. Like I didn't want her to just be an alcoholic or, to be addicted to her Horgel, the plant. Because those two things, this is my take. Whenever we see people drinking wine nowadays, like in movies or whatever, everything's fine. You don't really project anything on that person, right? If you see someone maybe smoking pot or something, you instantly project, ooh, that's a lowlife. That's a drug addict. They don't got no kind of, standing in the world. And I thought that's wrong, because there's more deaths that can happen from alcoholism than there is from, marijuana, right? So I wanted to make sure that we had this kind of, that she has a balance, she has a science of how she does this. It's kind of like that movie that Denzel Washington did, where he's the plane, and he has to land the plane, and upside down, and he's in alcohol, whatever, and alcohol and coke or whatever. But I thought there was something interesting about that he used all these different drugs to get him to a place that he could do that action, and that he felt he wouldn't be able to do it without making that concoction, right? So I kind of like that idea that she thinks the only way that she can be productive is if she has, a couple of glasses of this, a few tokes of that, and then she can stable herself. So I really wanted to make sure, I just wanted to have it to be those two, more than one kind of, crutch, so that I'm not just, she's an alcoholic.
Yeah. No, she's self-medicating. She's just medicating, finding that zone that's zen for her to deal with the emotions. But I also love the fact that you're really forceful and strong in the scenes with Patrick Stewart, who's obviously like this amazing actor, and he's comes from so much background with the stage and Shakespeare and everything. But you are one of the strongest people I've seen act opposite him. I mean, you're tough on him. You call him out on stuff. Sometimes you're like, F you, get out of my face.
That's right. That's right.
and I like that because we rarely see that. Normally he's always everybody's a little subservient, and and people don't challenge him as hard as you did. Which is one of the reasons I love Raffi's character, because she's such a strong woman.
Yeah, yeah, it's neat. I really like how that developed, and this is how I check it. Raffi and JL, and I apologize for people who don't like me calling him JL, but you got to understand, she knows him that way. She knows him that way. Nobody else knows him that way. That's our thing. You have a problem with it, I'm sorry, get over it.
That's go ask Captain Picard if you got a problem with it.
He has no problem with it. So if he doesn't mind it, then you should not mind it. But the one of the things about Raffi and JL's relationship is that she had her, she has a lot of stuff that happened in her past. You can get a little window of it when you see her with her son. So she just hasn't made the right choices all along her life. So she struggled. When she started to work with Picard, he brought her out. He gave her a safety line. He made her, feel strong and respected. And he basically helped her pull herself out of her original addictions. So she put a lot in him, right? There was, from her eyes, he was her boss, her superior for sure, but her friend, her mentor, her father, her brother, her lover, all those things in her mind, because this person saved her, right? And that she believed in his fight, thought it was our fight. So then when the situation happens with the Romulans, and he basically resigns, he basically is like, well, I'm just going to resign. And this is something that they were planning. Like, we have to figure out how we're going to save millions of lives. And he resigns, and then she gets fired. I mean, it's such a betrayal. She just feels so betrayed that she tumbles and spirals back until we see Picard come and visit her again. So with all that as her foundation, as their history, you can see why she is not going to just take his word for it. She's already been, in her head, betrayed by him. He hasn't always stuck by his word. So she's hard on him. She's absolutely hard on him to be, say, I know that you want to do good. Don't wimp out. Don't do that thing that happened before. Let's stick to this. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to have me be part of this, this adventure, this mission, don't let me down again. So I love that, as well as the fact that to her, he's her mentor, her father, her brother, her best friend, her savior. There's a shorthand when you have a relationship like that. And I love it. And Patrick and I love it. We just, it's great to have that kind of freedom to play with each other on set and to not feel restricted to sort of be like, this way, and just sort of like meet eyes and meet voices. And so I'm glad you picked that up, because it's something we really enjoy. And I think it's important to see that, because we need to, especially now, we need to challenge our leaders. We need to stay on our leaders and make sure that they do what they said they were going to do. We all follow them because we believed the story that they told us. So we need to hold our people accountable.
And another thing is with Star Trek, it now has a legacy of strong, intelligent Black characters.
Yes.
Starting with Nichelle Nichols, going over to Avery Brooks, my dad, the Captain Sisko, and now we're seeing you carry the mantle and carry the torch for brown people, and just being an intelligent person who's confident, who's strong-willed, who's not afraid. And I think it's important for women of color out there and all people of color to see those kinds of images of themselves in the future, doing good things.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. Actually, Nichelle, that was the first time there was an interracial kiss on camera. Right. That was the first time that, and my father's Black and my mother's white, but still, that was the first time that we basically saw our world reflected on television, to see, two people of different races kiss. And it was phenomenal. So thank you, Nichelle, for that. But yeah, I've made a conscious effort of like even when we had the hair discussion, because this is my hair, this all me. And I basically, yes, it is. And I basically said for Raffi, I wanted even more. I was like, I want her silhouette to be huge, because I wanted to sort of really sort of, sell it, to the home base, that curls and crazy natural textured kind of funky hair like we do is still alive and proud and loud in 2400.
Yes.
But, and it's kind of a funny thing to say, but it's incredibly important, because if anybody out there who is not the norm, who looks a little different and, just is a little bit unique, it's so important to see yourself reflected in society.
Yes.
I think about my two nephews, my two beautiful brown nephews, right? They're gorgeous creatures. And I think about myself when I went into school, like first grade, second grade, third grade, whatever. They used to have pictures of the presidents around the classroom, and you just sit there and don't, as a little child, it's just sort of subliminal. You're just like, there's a president or whatever. Now, all I can think about is that my two delicious young brown boys now sit in that room and they see a brown man up there. Mm-hmm. Do you understand how
they have to go pretty far down the list, but yeah.
Child, they have to go.
Not if they go from backwards. Not if they start from
That's
forward.
Right. You start right there.
Touche.
Yes.
But subliminal, like we don't even realize what that impact is, because whether the teacher says it or not, they see that a representation of them can go far. And that's what I've been trying to, what I'm trying to create. I remember going to when I got out of college and having like my interview at a commercial agency, and to be represented. And I remember them saying, "Oh, well, where do you fit in?" And I was playing dumb. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Where do I fit in? It's like, well, like where do you feel comfortable? Who do you associate with? And I know what they were asking. Do you put yourself in a black category, or where do you put yourself, right? So what was my answer? I said, well, I put myself in the category of a New Yorker, because I'm a native New Yorker and an actor. And if you want to know what my strength is, then give me a content, give me some dialogue, and I'll bring that to life. That's who I am. And it was funny because you could see him, want to ask, but then he had to take my thing, because I want to go, you are the one who wants to put me in a category. I am a person of color for sure, but my world is vast. It's vast.
Right.
And that's what we want to show with our children, our youth. If they see us in all these different roles and categories and like genres, then they see themselves represented, and they know that they can do whatever. They can be a teacher, a lawyer, a banker, a president, a healthcare, and an actor. You can do anything. But if we don't see ourselves represented, then the struggle to enlighten ourselves within ourselves is more complicated, right? If it's just there, it. If it's not there, someone has to teach it to you. And then you have to hope that you get someone who will teach you that, right? Teach you that lesson. And I love the fact that on our show, Star Trek, Issa, Evan, we're all mixies. They're all mixies,
right,
and that's, you want to go, that's what I'm talking about. I don't just mean this biracial. I mean all shades and shapes and sizes and, LGBTQ and disabled, and we do, like, Star Trek, the phenomenon of this world that is Star Trek and all of its different shows, we have people of all different ilks represented. And it's not like, that's the disabled person, or that's the gay person, or that's the black person.
That's our token Asian guy over there.
Do you know? We don't have a little
incorporated. No, we're incorporated. We're part of the story. We're part of the mission. There is a level playing field in the world of Star Trek, which is one of the beauties of it. But I wanted to ask you, have you, I know it's still early, but have you gotten any of the convention experience to see the fans, and have you gotten any of that in yet?
Yes, I'm, thankfully, I guess, because of now, we got to experience all that from our last year. And I keep joking with my friends. I'm like, if any time you go to, like your first time going to a Comic-Con like SDCC, do it with Patrick Stewart. It's pretty good.
Wow.
That'll help.
the seas open, like, like, it was pretty amazing. But I have to say, and then we did this sort of incredible European tour. We went to Comic-Cons in Brazil and Italy and Paris and London. I mean, it was amazing experience. And I have to say, Star Trek fans, you guys are like the best, like carte blanche. You guys are warm and welcoming and energetic and passionate and really creative. I mean, the costumes, I'm like blown away. But yeah, I got to experience that, thankfully, this last year. And my castmates, all of us, we continually say that we're so thankful and so lucky, because you could get into some new shows and get a lot of pushback from from the old school fans or whatever, because you're sort of like, hi, I'm here now. But we never felt any of that. We felt just an embrace and a welcoming and an excitement. And I guess when you're standing next to Patrick Stewart, you just gotta sit back and like take it all in.
Well, it's only going to get better for you in the second year and the third year, assuming Raffi survives 3 seasons. Which I'm assuming she might, but who knows nowadays? People die on shows all the time.
That's true.
I think that your fan experiences are going to just keep getting better and better and better, and you're going to see that more proof that Star Trek fans are the best.
They really
fans
are
in the world. Yeah,
it's quite lovely. It's just a gift.
And there's another thing that your character is dealing with, which is something that it hasn't been dealt with before in Star Trek, is your relationship with your child, right? It's like it's an estranged relationship. It's not it's not the perfect mom-son situation. Yeah. This is something that's a little bit unusual, because normally we try to do the idealistic ways of everything is so splendid and wonderful. But here you have this challenge of trying to grapple with that. What about that dynamic?
I love that, I have to say, because once again, I really wanted to show all of the truth of what happens with people who have addictions, right? And one of the points of view that I think is incredibly important to respect and hear is the point of view of the child. As the parent, you can say, I've done my work. I'm so sorry. I know I was terrible, but I'm better now. I did my work. I'm here. Let's do this. What about the child? What about the child? You have to hear where the child has been living, within their parents' addiction. They lived through the addiction as well. They're living through that addiction. They experience things that you may not have been able to see because you were addicted. And to sort of come into that person's life and go, I'm better now, accept me, is another abuse. It's another abuse. And so I love the fact that, my son felt that he had to say, no, you're not allowed back in my life, in my new life with my wife and my child. I don't even know you right now. How can I just trust you because you say you're ready? And by the way, if we track it, she's not ready, because she's
not ready.
She thinks she is, though.
Yeah, she thought she was ready.
She thought she was, and then she tumbled quite far back. But I just think it's one of those things that's a beautiful a moment that we can shine a light on the other side of addiction, which are the people who are enablers and just witnesses, and collateral damage. And I would almost say that my son is collateral damage, because I didn't take care of him. I sort of just like a bull walk through that china shop, and then after everything's been tried to be glued together and put back together, I come and say, I want to walk in the room again. It's you can't just do that. And I hope that people see the both sides, that he's not being selfish or mad, and that she has to understand that there's consequences for the actions that she's taken. now anything can happen. She can make a choice to keep working on herself and working on their relationship. And who knows, fingers crossed, maybe in the future they can have a relationship. But I really felt it was so important for us to acknowledge, respect, appreciate, and tell the story of the children, because the children are part of the story when it comes to addiction. They're part of it, and we have to give them a platform so that they know that they're seen, they're heard, and that their plight was
recognized.
Was recognized. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true, and that's one of the things that Ryan tells me all the time. I love this Raffi character. She is amazing, and we literally look forward to just seeing your performances, because you just eat up the screen and make. As we watch you, we're like, where has she been this whole time? Because she's so talented, and I'm glad that you're finally getting your credits and your just due. And
thank you, honey.
Yeah, that's funny, is because I think what Sirach's alluding to is I was just kind of like, wow, this actor, boy, Michelle HURD, she's really good. And I looked you up on IMDb, and it's just like a dictionary. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm the one that's late to the party.
You're the one that's late.
I guess I should.
Yeah.
I should have.
But it's what's very true though in that, and thank you for saying all of that, you guys. But it's kind of like what Viola Davis said when she accepted her award. I can't even remember which one it was, but she said, I thank you for this, but I'm getting this because I was given an opportunity. I was given an opportunity to play this part, which could give me the possibility to get an award. Mm-hmm. There are so many of us who are never given the opportunity to play a part that can even be seen in the world of being considered for an award. I'm so thankful and appreciative of all the jobs I've had. I'm an actor. I love acting. And I honor being a really good exposition person. I'm solid. I can walk on the set. I can spew a whole bunch of exposition and bugger off. I can walk into a set and hand number one, whatever the most important piece of paper is, and then leave. But at a certain point, you start to realize, does this person have a real life? Is this person actually vetted? Like, did anybody decide to, and I can do, as an actor, I can do a whole bunch of work. I can do a whole bunch of backstory. I can, fill the whole thing while I walk in and hand the paper to someone and walk out. I walk out, So, it wasn't until I think Blind Spot with Shepard, I started to really get into some, like she's the mother of, she was trained by the government. She had, so there was all of a sudden more of a life that I could dig down and start using. But man, Star Trek, and I feel for Star Trek, even the person who is an exposition, they have a history, and you even see that history. So there's something about Star Trek, there's something about sci-fi that really, it's almost like, how the Coen brothers who do all these beautiful films, they like every single character in those films are important, from the gas room attendant to the the day players, the background, they contribute to create the film. Every single character is important. And under the world of sci-fi, and especially in Star Trek, I think everyone who steps up there and says and has contributes to the energy in the scene is important. And it's sort of an amazing thing that after all this time, this is the moment where I've finally been giving a character who is completely vetted, who has a real life, who has a history, who has a presence, who has a future, who has tough choices to make that will impact the story. And all of us actors out there, people of color, know that those words don't generally come together when you're a person of color on the set. It's like, I'm going to impact this story? Yeah. Me? Like each episode, not just once? Yeah. Hallelujah. So I mean, it's really an interesting, it's a phenomenon, but I think I'm thankful for the words. And all I could say is that for everybody out there who's a writer and producer and all that, directors and stuff, just give us the opportunity. Just give us the opportunity, and we may surprise you. We have a lot, we have a lot in here that we've just been holding on and just waiting for somebody to give us the opportunity to speak and to give life to characters.
You know, when we talk with a lot of the writers, one of the things that they say is that they watch and observe the characters, the people who play the characters, and that's what informs them to write differently as it goes on. And I can only imagine that who you are and the spirit that you are is going to inform the writers to give you more to do and alter what it is that they give you to do based on the background of coming from activism, based on the background that you're this strong, powerful, intelligent, articulate woman that knows what she wants. I think that's going to play out even more as we continue to watch this series unfold.
Yeah, that was actually one of the things that I guess we kind of know as actors, but we don't really know that that's a truth. When Michael Chabon, I love him. He holds a special place in my heart. I just love everything about him. And we were talking on set.
Even his beard?
Even his beard. He looks like Santa Claus. He looks like a hippie Santa Claus right now with his long hair and his big old beard. But he said that. He said that, I informed him of who Raffi is. And I wish that actors could really understand that, because sometimes, we go into rooms if we're auditioning or whatever, and you have this desire to please the person that you're going in for, right? You're like, oh, I hope they like what I do. Whereas I feel like if we could sort of reverse that thinking and just, like, who do you think this character is? You, like, who do you think this character is? Take it in and you do it justice for yourself. Like, entertain yourself. Make the choices that you are, going to do, true to yourself. Like, oh, this will be good. It'll make me entertain me. Because then that way you'll entertain them. If we're just trying to entertain someone else and we have no knowledge of where, of what that will, of how that looks, like, I don't know what you think is funny. And yet I'm going to try to do this. I'm like, he didn't think that's funny. That's because I'm trying to please the wrong person.
Yeah, you're guessing.
Like, really inform yourself, empower yourself, and then walk into a situation and tell them that it's your job. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I own it. So yeah, for me too, at this time in my career, it's an amazing bit of information to learn and sort of go, right, that's right. If I'm calm in my choices, if I'm informed in my choices, if I'm excited about my choices, they're going to see that and trust that I'm going to bring to life more fully a character than they even could have realized. So yeah, it's a sage advice.
Just to add to that, one of the biggest realizations for me as an actor was when I started writing, because before as an actor, you come in and it's almost like looking on the other side of that table. It's almost like looking at the enemy, like they're judging you. They're, you're going to mess up. That you don't want to. You're guessing what's going to please them. It's almost like feels like competitive in a way. And when I started writing, and when I was on the other side of that table, and now I'm casting people, I realized that couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth. I'm sitting there rooting for every single actor that walks in. They're thinking, please let this person be the person that lets me go to lunch, or please let this be the one that brings my words to life. They're not sitting there critiquing you and going, they're not saying it right. They're just looking for the person of who's bringing something, or even who's bringing something that I didn't expect. And that's such a great realization once you know that
huge.
It just kind of unlocks the door. And then it does exactly what you're saying, which is, well, I'm going to bring what I want to bring, what I think is funny, what I think is cool, because they're going to watch that. They're going to be like, oh, wow, I didn't even think of that. That's brilliant.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing discovery, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's an amazing, because we're all thinking that that's the thing, is to please the people over there, and they're just like, could you please, tell me, please be the person I wrote for Jane. There's Jane, yes,
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
But if you please yourself, that will end up pleasing the other people. So you have to start with yourself first.
100%
with what you're doing. We talked a lot about Patrick Stewart, but I do want to get in one of my other favorite characters on this show, which is Rios. And I wanted you to just give us a little bit about working with him.
I love him so much. He's like one of my absolute favorite scene partners. We'd often end up doing a lot of stuff at the end of the day just because of the way schedules were, and people were always like, "Oh, it's an R&R day." Rios and Raffi, like,
yes,
yay!
Rest and relaxation.
Rest and relaxation, exactly. Yeah. We used to joke that on any given day when the two of us are on set, we're basically Han Solo and Chewbacca, and we could either be Chewbacca or Han Solo.
Yeah, I'm not going to guess on that.
No, it's perfectly like I don't mind either way. It's perfect because we work. They work that way together. They're
the man with many accents. I mean, he's got like
so many. Oh, they're so good. Oh my god, that was the most amazing episode to shoot. Him
I've never
5
seen
different
that before.
characters.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And he's so good. He's so good. And I found that when we did the actual scene, because we had to do, as you can imagine, him as one character the whole way through shooting all the different things. The other character, so we had to do all those things.
The whole way through each time running the whole scene.
The whole thing each time.
Did you have stand-ins or tennis balls hanging?
We actually had stand-ins. We had two. We had one, two. Yeah, we had, I guess we had 4. So we would have, when he'd be one, then they would switch around. And what was so interesting is that when he's each character, Raffi has a different relationship with each holo. And it was amazing because like every time he became a different holo, like I innately just would change how I dealt with him because of how he was dealing with it. It was so fun. It was so fun. And he's just, I have to say, you guys, Santiago is just, he's a quiet man. He's not one of those sort of, talks a lot on set or makes a bunch of jokes. He's quiet. And forever, this is like, I don't think he'll mind, but so cute. Like he'll always FaceTime his son, Killian. Oh. And just like he'll be on set and be like, "Oh, look, Killian, look, here's the control panels," or whatever. And you just see his face light up, and it's just the most glorious thing seeing him talk to his son. But he and I are we just bonded immediately. We knew who these two people were. We knew that they were two comrades with the same kind of feeling that they'd been betrayed by Starfleet, and that bonded them. And then the two actors, we just really liked these two characters. We both loved our characters so much that made an equal bond to each other. It was just so equal. And we just have fun. Every scene we have fun. We always try to stick in a little joke. There's a scene, there's a shot, which I can't believe they kept in. Which episode is it? I think it's episode 8 or 9 or something. It's when we come back from, what is it? We have that special tool.
Oh, yes, the magic tool.
Right, and as the camera...
the imagination tool.
The imagination tool. And as the camera comes... Yes, I need one now. As the camera comes up to us, we're both standing there. We're both basically wearing beige pants, a black shirt, and we basically do like the same moves. We both were standing there like this, and we go like this. And that was just for us. We both look at each other like, let's do a little something, something. So you could catch that next time.
And they kept that. They
kept it. They kept it. Yeah. He's great. He's a really good one. Yeah. Mm.
Well, we're cheering for you. We love what you're doing thus far. I think it's awesome. And I also like the fact that each character kind of does have a little chip on their shoulder, a little something in the background. Even Picard himself is starting this whole show with his own little chip on his shoulder. And
that's right.
Everybody, Rios has his chip, you have your chip, and it's like the badasses, the renegades, or the misfits that are like coming back for justice. You're gonna recognize us, and we're gonna.
That's right. Because in truth, that's like, we all have had those moments in time. We've all had these times where we thought we were on one path, everything was fine, and something happened, got us off that path. We're still like, what the fuck? I didn't even understand. How did that happen? I was fine. And
what was I thinking back then?
Or what was I thinking? Exactly. And I think that's why we call ourselves the Motley Crew, because each of the characters, we call each other. We've got a little WhatsApp thing of the Motley Crew. It's funny. And we all feel that we're perfectly imperfect characters. Everybody has issues, which makes us really relatable. There's nothing sort of perfect and polished about any of us.
Yes.
Which I kind of feel like at life, we all experience that. I'm not perfect. God knows I'm not polished. I mess up, you know. I'm dyslexic. I get nervous when I read out loud. You know, I mean, there's so many things that go on, but I'm not going to let that hold me back. I'm not going to let that define me. I want to speak it. Like I happily say I have dyslexia, my sister and I both, and we've dealt with it our entire lives. And guess what? We're okay. It's okay. You're going to be fine. And truthfully, for those of you who are dyslexic, for those people who are not neurotypical individuals, if you think about it, they utilize their brain in a different way. They expand their brain. A neurotypical person may think of like, I know how to go from here to here linearly. Mm-hmm. A person who's not neurotypical may not be able to do it linearly, so they'll have to go all the way around, do all this stuff to get to that same point. That's really creative. That's really impressive. So for all of our brothers and sisters, all our people out there, when you know somebody who has some kind of, you know, difference, you know, they're maybe on a spectrum, they have something that's just not the same as everybody else. How about we slow down? We take a breath and get into their path, get into their energy, get into their rhythm. There's this bizarre concept that when you interact with someone who's perhaps on the spectrum or has different issues, you want them to hurry up and catch up. Mm-hmm. It's counter. They can't. So why don't we slow down? Why don't we change our rhythm, embrace their rhythm, welcome them into the world that they're here, they're present, they're already here. It's time for us to welcome them all. Wow. And I'm sorry about that. I got on a soapbox there.
No, not at all. That's great.
That's what we do here. That's what we do.
That is kind of what we do here. Before we go, we have a little bit of time left, but I did want to point out, this is something that we've kind of touched on here or there about your character. What really attracted me to your acting specifically is how you emote this vulnerability, this passion, this care. Like there's like an intense love that is emoting from you. It's almost like this. It's weird. It's almost like it's like this bubble of passion that's like that you lead with in every scene, in every sentence, whether Raffi is laughing or whether she is binging or whether she's angry, whatever it is. There's still this subtle or not so subtle leading that has this passion, this emotion, vulnerability, as you mentioned. And I was just kind of wondering, like, what kind of presence of mind you put yourself in when you're getting ready to play Raffi in whatever scene it happens to be? Is there a specific thing that you like to tap into, or is it just that that's how you are as a person and as an actress? And I just haven't seen your other work. I mean, what is that? I guess.
Yeah. That's, first of all, I'm going to just record that because that was beautiful, and I'm going to listen to you say that to me every morning now.
Was I supposed to be recording? Sorry, I'll start now. No, I'm just kidding.
That's a great. That's beautiful. I think for myself, I really try to be as truthful to the story that I'm telling, as uncomplicated as I can make that be. Right? What is it that I'm trying to say? What is the point of this moment, this interaction that I'm about to have with somebody? What is it that I want to get out of it? And that's what I generally, focus on as soon as I'm getting ready to start a scene or whatever. I'm very lucky that I often get to look into the eyes of someone who is equally as generous, Santiago, Patrick. So it's not hard to sort of come to the full extent of the emotion because you're really working with somebody right there. And I guess it's funny because I do sometimes, I don't know how, I don't know why, but I do sometimes feel a maternal protection over
That's what I feel. Yes.
Yeah, over my motley crew, even Patrick, it's very, Michelle, and if it's Michelle, therefore Raffi does as well. I don't know how that happened. I mean, I know that because Raffi is a mother, she has this maternal in core, because she has failed at some of her mothering. She has a guilt about that. So she's very sensitive to make sure that she doesn't do that again as best she can. And I think because, I think that's really what it is. I think because of the pain, all the pain that she's gone through that still lives within her. She's so aware of human vulnerability and fragility, and it's really important for her to make sure the people she's interacting with aren't as in pain as she is. I think that's really what it is. She knows her pain so well. It's like when they pull her out and talk to her friend to get them to give her to get Picard to have the escort down to the cube, right? She's drunk, she's all stuff, and then all of a sudden she's like, "Hey, it's me. How you doing?" Because she pulls herself out to help them. She knows that this is what she has to do to help them. She may be in such pain, but she's going to somehow figure out how to get over that to help the other people. And by doing that, you can't help but show that your vulnerability, your insecurities, your pain, your struggle, your love, your need to help, and all those things are, boy, oh boy, that's maternal instincts for you right there, all of it. So yeah, I think it's trying to be as true to what, she wants to try to do for the people that she loves.
Yeah, that's awesome. That device that you were smoking, was that actually real, or?
My Horgel?
Yeah, does it function?
It doesn't really.
Ciroc,
it doesn't really,
easy.
Hey,
easy.
I'm trying to get one.
I got three. I'll give you one.
He's got three.
Okay.
Yeah, the Horgel that we had was it was created by our props people, and it's a beautiful. The encasement of the vape is this beautiful, like that's the thing they created, and then it's just basically a vape that has that's just. I don't think there was nothing in there. I didn't feel tobacco or anything. So yeah, that's it. And I take my little flower, I put it in because that's the drug, and no, it's not real.
Oh man,
that's okay. We can pretend. We can imagine it as long as we can imagine.
That's right.
Where's my imaginary tool? Imagination.
I'm still looking for I want my replicator and my transporter. I still feel like I have that.
It's coming. By the way, it's all coming.
I will tell you, it is. And I will tell you guys that I too, just like all of us, when I sat here in my house and watched myself get on the transporter and disappear for the first time, I shot it. And I literally jumped up. I was like, oh my God, yes, I did. And I was like, you shot that. You filmed that. I was like, I know, but look, there it is.
I just beamed out. I just beamed out.
Did you see it? I was gone.
I'm excited for the journey ahead for you. I think they couldn't have picked a better person to do the role. And I think you're going to be extremely appreciated in the long term by the fans for what you've done and what you're doing. So thank you for everything. And I'm glad that somebody who's so thoughtful and so intelligent is able to express what it is that you're bringing to the table, so that the people out there know it's not haphazard. It's not by accident. This is deliberate, and
right.
this is who
Thank
you are.
You so much. Thank you so much. You're so kind. Thank you. And I mean, Ryan, thank you for reaching out to me so that we could do this in the first place. You guys are really awesome. I love what you're doing. I really appreciate it. You're honest, you big-hearted people, and it comes through. So I thank you.
Sure. Thank you. I was really looking forward to it. With our correspondence, it made it very clear the kind of person that you are, and I very much appreciate how communicative you are and how easy you are to talk with. One final thing is, as Ciroc kind of mentioned, we do talk on our show a lot about kind of how like the writers will write for a character in the first season, but then after that season's over and they see everything that happened, the second season they kind of adjust. They kind of write to the actor a little bit more, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to see whatever these tiny little subtle differences are in the second season for Raffi.
Me too.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. And I do want to thank you very much for joining us. It's been a great time as
absolutely
expected.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
We're looking forward to more.
And also to add to that, on a personal note, for me, my daughter is mixed race, and so she's going to grow up with the beautiful curly hair like you. And
I love it.
I'm so happy that she's going to have a great role model to look up to, somebody who's as beautiful and good-hearted as you. So keep up the good work. We're pulling for you. The fans out here love what you're doing. Keep it going. We're keeping our fingers crossed that we can get back into production ASAP.
That's right.
And
I love that.
And get some more Picard on the menu.
That's right. And just so you know, I'm literally the crazy lady that will run across the street if I see a little munchkin with curly hair. I literally run. I will chase you down then just to say, "Oh my goodness, I love your hair. It's so cool." Because no one ever said that to me when I was a little one. So I'm doing my very best to make sure to empower our youth and to give us, give us a voice and a visual statue, like a representation to show that we're here. That we're supposed to be here, that we're beautiful in all of our shades, our physical, shapes, our all of it, everything. Yeah. Embrace it, empower it, own it, be present. Help your friends, be allies. Let's all be allies for each other. I mean, we can do it. We can all do it. Just look out for each other. So, yay!
Well, we love your hair, by the way.
Platform too. Yeah, we love it. We love it.
Thank you. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for the love that you clearly have and that you're sharing it with me, and I appreciate it. And yay. That's all I could say. Yay.
Yay back. No, but thank you. And we really appreciate it. Hope to see you again real soon. Everybody at home, thank you so much for joining us. Check out Picard Season 2 next Tuesday. Just kidding. It's going to be a long time. But check it out.
Oh my God.
It's gonna be awesome, just like the first season was. And that theme song, by the way,
right?
I love it. Anyway.
And how gorgeous was Issa Bjorn singing Blue Skies at the end. Gorgeous, right? Beautiful.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks very much. And everybody at home, we'll see you next time. We still haven't come up with a thing to say.
No little sort of
I
thing.
see you guys.
Live long and prosper.
Ciao. Ciao, Bella.
Ciao, Bella.
Ciao, Bella.